We are honored to have you all here. We officially start the conference, first year of Post-Communism, Transitions and Legacies. Mr. Professor Ioan Stanomir will say a few words as Executive President of the Institute for the Investigation of Communist Crimes and Memory of Romanian Exile. Then Mr. Dix will follow from Konrad Adenauer Stiftung. And then I'll try to wrap it up a bit and make some introductory remarks. And then we can proceed with the conference itself. And again, thank you for all of you for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm going to be extremely short, but I would like to acknowledge the fact that this event is the result of a very fruitful cooperation between our institute and the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, represented here by Dr. Dix. It is also here the result of a very interesting and fruitful cooperation between the Institute and the Center for Administrative Economic Studies, hosted by the University of Bucharest and represented here by Professor Bogdan Cristian. From an intellectual perspective, it is very important to underline the fact that our institute is interested in promoting this kind of events in order to show that the research on communism is related to the history of ideas, history of economics, and history of the political development in general. The fact that we assemble such a prestigious team of experts and scholars is a living proof that even in our country, the only key to succeed is through cooperation. And intellectual and humane cooperation remain the cornerstone of any meaningful intellectual endeavor. In the same time, I'd like to acknowledge and thanks so much for the presence of the foreign embassies. I'd like to salute His Excellency, the representative, the Swiss ambassador. I'd like also to thank the German and the American embassies who have sent their representatives here. It is good to have friends, especially when friends are united by sharing the same common values. And in the end, this kind of event is giving us a sense of optimism that is much needed in time of skepticism and despair. The only way to look forward is to understand that solidarity can make the difference, and intellectual exploration can bring together all the necessary energies. Once again, I'd like to thank the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung for its entire and continuous support. We are very proud to be your partners, and I hope, Dr. Dix, that you are going to keep in mind that you have a lot of friends in Romania, and Romania is in a way a second home to you. Thank you so much.
Professor Stanomir, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you on behalf of the Konrad Adenauer Foundation as co-organizer of this activity. We appreciate very much the initiative coming from IICCMER, and as a partner, we are proud to be in cooperation with your institute. The topic of the history of Romania after the fall of the Ceausescu regime is one of the most interesting, and I have to say most controversial issues in the current historical and political debate. This year, discussions turned around the violent repression of democratic movements in 1999, known as Uniardade. The Institute of Investigation of Communist Crimes and Memory of the Romanian Exile this year organized a very impressive exhibition with photos of the Uniardade events, shocking pictures, which again brought up the question who the responsible forces behind these events were. Some strange reactions to this exhibition made very clear that this part of the Romanian history is still very present. Ladies and gentlemen, the specific character of the Romanian transition influenced and still influences key elements of the Romanian society and the political life in this country. As a representative of a German political foundation, I always have an eye on political parties and their evolution since 1989. Allow me to make just a few remarks on this topic, because I do have the impression that the story of political parties, the history of political parties, is a very good example for the huge influence the post-communism period had on today's politics and social realities. I would therefore like to quote some Romanian authors as an input to this conference. Vladimir Tismeneanu, who is well known here in the Institute, wrote in his book about 1989, published in 2009, that the sudden fall of the communist regime created an ideological chaos which gave birth to a very populist character of the new political class. Alexandra Ionescu, she's teaching at the Faculty of Political Science, wrote in an article on the short communism's journey into democracy, published in Studia Politica, number 3, 2009, I quote, "In the frantic climate of the beginning of Romanian post-communism, one principle seemed to be at hand. The one-party regime was to be replaced by a multi-party regime. However, multipartism did not really equate political pluralism. It was rather a way to picture the way numerically from one to many." She shows in her article that parties then were rather understood as groups able to get into parliament through proportional representation, and as a consequence, parties were not really able to differentiate themselves from one another and thus became effective agents of pluralism. Alexandru Bussi, advisor to the Romanian president, wrote in an article on the ex-communist policy of forgetting in Romania after 1990, published again in Studia Politica number 2, 2009, that the identity of Romanian political parties reveals itself mainly in those parties' attitude towards the communist past. I think that it is not exaggerated to state that widespread populism, the use of parties as electoral machines, and the problems to differentiate between political parties still are key problems of the party system in Romania. Political parties are therefore a good example on how post-communism influenced the social and political life in Romania until today. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a successful conference. Thank you very much.
I'll say a few words as well. Professor Stanomir already mentioned this type of event that we're organizing now gives us the possibility to develop and strengthen our partnerships, institutional partnerships with various departments of the University of Bucharest. In this case, history department, sociology department, and political science department. We have representatives from all these three institutions here. At the same time, we have the possibility of developing the partnerships with institutions from the region, and Professor Ivanov and Germushka are representatives from these type of institutions. Again, this event, as Dr. Dix already mentioned, is a continuation of a project that we developed in June this year. A project focused on discussing and commemorating the Mineriade, the violent events of 1990. The project was focused on two directions: representational one, the exhibition that Dr. Dix mentioned, and at the same time public debate that we had at the Shutu Museum in the center of Bucharest. And we thought that the present conference takes that project a step further in the sense of making the transition from a debate at the level of civil society to the level of an academic debate, a scholarly discussion on not only the events that took place in Romania, but on the significance of the immediate aftermath of 1989 for the entire region. This conference allows us for a more complex discussion of the early 90s, a discussion that is focused on comparativity and interdisciplinarity. Our main objective for this event is to see how Romanian recent history can be understood in reference to regional and international developments, and with the benefit of hindsight, to see which are the legacies of the period both for Romania and for East Central Europe. Last point that I want to make, I want to thank Konrad Adenauer Stiftung for the generous support and help in bringing this event to life. At the same time, I'd like to thank my colleagues at the Institute. I was abroad in the past 3 weeks, so the brunt of the organizational part was on the shoulders of my colleagues, and particularly Yulia Vladimirov, who was fundamental and instrumental for the success of this event. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy our conference.